Hey guys, it's TF Nut. Welcome back to the channel. Today we're doing another action figure review. This time it's going to be of the brand new Bandai Tamashii Nations S.H Figuarts Dragon Ball Super Hero Beast Gohan, the premium Bandai exclusive figure here. The reason why I have this so early when this is supposed to be coming at the end of the month here from premium Bandai is because I ordered an extra one off Nin-Nin-Game just in case those pre-orders went south. That original video is that I made on the information for this is a bit of a nightmare because a lot of us, myself included, thought that this was going to be a really bad pre-order window where it's going to sell out really quick, and it turned out to be a normal pre-order window. So I do apologize for the misinformation from that video and fear-mongering that I might have accidentally done, but it doesn't help that Bandai were kind of vague on everything with that. But Nin-Nin-Game got me one early here, so very happy about that, and the extra one I pre-ordered from Premium Bandai is going to go to a friend, so that's cool. Anyway, enough rambling. I like the movie, and I like the form, if I'm being honest. Some people don't. I'm fine with it. Looking at the packaging here, it's very basic. It's very similar, actually, to how we got Gohan's from last year. Just looking up and down here. See the figure in the box. All those different accessories. It says Son Gohan Beast there. Figure on the side. The nice, slightly gold color. It's pretty like a dark gold, almost, coloring on the box. All the logos down here, ages 15 and up. The Toei Animation logo. I believe that is the web exclusive logo as well. Dragon Ball Superhero, Tamashii Nations, and Bandai. And this one was made in China. On this side, it just says, it's kind of hard to read it, but a metallic, you know, it just says in metallics right there, Son Gohan Beast, of course, and then on the bottom there as well. My brain is a little bit fried, I do apologize. Some slightly black and white shots, if you see on the side there, some of the different features and option parts going on with this figure. There's not much on the top besides the window box there, and them continuing the, if I can focus, that image of the smiling face. When you look on the bottom here, there's that smiling face again, but then that other face for the normal Gohan as well. And actually, the back of the packaging here gives you a better idea of what's going on here, if I could fix the lighting. So, all those different option parts going on there, and of course where it says Beast Gohan. Yeah, you are pretty familiar with how the design of this box is going by now. Since I've had this imported, I don't have any bluefin stickers on here, but you do have a barcode there in case you need it, and the Bandai Namco logo there. Let's go ahead and get this figure out of the packaging. Here's the figure out of the packaging. Very happy with this release here. There are some similarities between last year's Gohan and this one here. The retooling's nice. The amount of accessories is good. There really isn't that much of a problem I have with this figure besides a couple of nitpicks. Let's go ahead and take a look at the accessories, then we'll take a closer look at the figure. Since Tamashii Nations have put in some of the instruction manuals on the boxes of these figures instead of, an actual paper booklet, I will leave a link down in the description below where you can look up the PDF of Beast Gohan's instruction manual, because showing it to you guys from inside the box is going to be a nightmare. It usually is when I try to do it. So the hands are pretty much the exact same as last time. This one on my right, this is from the previous Gohan. And maybe the lighting's not helping, but I think that the new hands are just slightly glossier than the previous ones, but they're all, done very similarly, where it's all molded in a skin tone, and then they have, I wouldn't say minimal detailing. I mean, they're hands, so they're as detailed as they need to be. They have fingernails, some detailing, on the knuckles too, and detailing in the palms. All that looks pretty good. I think, if you look on the palm of the left one right here, a little bit of a crease there from where I think they did the injection. So that's you got to look really hard to see that, and it doesn't really stick out too much. But that was just something I slightly noticed. We also have, similar to the hands I just showed off, the fingers are slightly more curled in this time around for different, action posing. The previous hands are more for different blast effects if you wanted to. And then I don't remember what the name of the posing would be with these. But thumb, index, and ring finger or middle finger are sticking out, and then the ring and pinky are curled in. All of these are pretty much the exact same sculpt, not pretty much, are the same sculpt as Gohan's from last year, and they didn't really need to change anything. We do have the addition of the special beam fingers here with the index and middle finger there. That looks really good. I don't know if this is reused from characters like, Goku or other ones, but pretty nice that we have that here. I do want to show off the arms crossed really quick. Very cool that this came with that. I do see a little bit of black splotch going on to the skin tone. Maybe I can get that off, maybe not, but I don't. Hopefully it won't be too noticeable when taking photos. The rest of this, they've been doing this system pretty good for, you know, the better part of a decade when they do this, so there's not much to talk about here, but all that muscle detail and then the wristbands, you know, painted on there. A little bit of skin tone, you know, where the black should be, but that's not going to be that noticeable. Moving on to the faces. Don't worry, I didn't forget about the effects piece, don't worry. We do have the grit teeth face here. So I am not going to go into the debate of what's better, this or DL Customs. I do have this image right here. I forget the name of the person that I have right now, but I will leave their link of their post down in the description below. So give them a follow and give them a like. But you can see the differences. I think DL Customs is slightly more animated than this here, but by no means do I think that Tamashii Nations did a bad job here. I liked how these faces looked enough to where I was going to get this figure regardless. If I didn't like these at all, I would have just gotten the head sculpts from DL Customs, which are good in their own right. Anyway, really nice grit teeth going on. A little bit of creasing with the paint there on the underneath the eyes. A little bit on the eyebrow too, and there's actual sculpting in there. The eyebrows have really nice gray paint going on there, and the red paint in the eyes, that printing is really good. Separation of the teeth there is also very nice. Then we do have the angrier face right here. That also looks really good. They usually do these really well. The separation of all that paint with the pink as well as the dark red and the white in the mouth. A little bit of a crease sculpted and painted right there, looking really good. Looks like it's looking off to the right just a little bit. It would have preferred if it was a little bit more forward. You might be able to fudge it in some photos. But there's even a little bit of creasing and paint going on in between the eyes right there. And the lights turned off, awesome. I gotta get new lights. And then the creasing on the eyebrows, all that. And the gray paint comes through well once again. Now, this is really cool. I love the smirking face going on here. That smile is really good. Again, there's not much else to talk about because it's very similar in approach to the other faces with the gray and the sideburns and the eyebrows and then the red paint on the eyes and everything around the eyes. All that looks very good. We do have this face right here. This is an extra face for your normal Gohan where he's getting angry. You can see the black this time with his eyebrows and sideburns and with the red eyes right there. Here is what that looks like posed on the figure, and all that actually looks really nice when you pose it all together. The last thing I do want to talk about is the special beam effects. So unfortunately, is what I feared. It is a hand sculpted with the beam effect going on there. I was hoping for this to be a separate piece so I can use it for Piccolo. I guess stability wise this is a safer bet, but you know, you start looking a little bit and the translucent plastic bleeding through these fingers, I mean, it's a little ugly, but you're really not going to be paying attention there. It's mostly here you'll be paying attention. I don't think it was done very bad at all. Looking in the inside of the joint there, you can see they did as much skin tone paint as possible before you can tell a little bit of translucent paint going on in there. But yeah, that you can't even tell that was originally translucent. But this swirl here going on, if my backlights were working, it would show you that all this translucent blue, and it gets darker in the blue as it keeps going. That is really well done. This is, you know, it's a little bit pliable, but by no means is it like supposed to do this. So just don't mess around with this too much because it could break. But the frost detailing going on at the end of the beam, that is really cool. I think there was a very minor chip right there, which I can't even tell right now. So there's that. And then for stability, when you're posing this, you do get this clear stand, and bottom here, it does pivot a little bit there, and it can pivot a little bit here too. I want to do a quick comparison with last year's Gohan with Beast Gohan before we move on to the detail, and then a couple head swaps. As you can see, there really is not much different going on between both figures. Overall, I think like 80% reuse, but that's to be expected. Just a little bit of retooling with some battle damage, mostly in the legs. I think the colors are a little bit brighter this time on Beast Gohan. The purple does look a little bit brighter, at least in person. The ribs, of course, you can see where all that goes. And then they do have a soft plastic overlay this time instead of all that being sculpted on the previous Gohan, which I thought was fine before. It looks fine. on this new one, but it does hinder articulation. We'll talk about that in a second. We do have more molded skin tone though, so it's a little bit more consistent on Beast Gohan in the chest at least, compared to that painted, paint details in the chest for the previous one, but it really wasn't that bad before either. And because these are both pretty much the same figure, I did head swaps with Beast Gohan on a normal body and vice versa. Skin tones are going to pretty much match up. I think it's just a little tiny bit lighter on Beast Gohan, but regardless, I think it's going to work just fine if you want to mix and match. And I don't own the Super Saiyan heads that came with one of the Gammas. I never got the Gammas, but I do have the DL Customs one, and that does fit on the Beast Gohan body. The skin tone was a little off with that head compared to the previous Gohan. I think it's slightly better here because it's a little bit lighter this time. It's still not perfect, but you really can't tell. At least I can't tell that much. Thank you guys for your patience. Now we are moving on to the detail portion. I don't know how in-depth I'm going to go over with this body because a lot of this is reused from last year's Gohan, but there is retooling, of course, that I keep saying. First thing I do want to talk about that's brand new, of course, is the head sculpt here. Now, from what I remember of images, I do think that the DL Customs one is larger, at least longer. I feel like they might have scaled this down a tiny bit. The face likes to pop off slightly. They might have scaled it down a tiny bit because the hair is really long in the movie, but I could be wrong. It's only slightly scaled down. It could be an accurate size. I don't exactly remember right now. One thing I didn't think was going to happen, which it does here, there's slightly, a little bit of shading going on towards, the roots, I guess, here, going off to the ends here. It's a little bit lighter here. I definitely molded in this color, and then there's some paint of darker gray going on, a little bit of dark gray going on this piece right here, and this is the stern expression. That looks really great. I love what's going on. The contrast of the gray with the red eyes and the pupil there. Yeah, that's a very sick looking thing, man. I really dig it. I also really like how all these spikes come through. They are softer plastic actually, and they're not very sharp unless you really poke your finger in there, of course. So I think some more shading in different parts here would make this look a little bit better, but overall it doesn't look too bad. How is separating? So all that separates. It's kind of like the previous Gohan. That sticks up in there, and then you have to stick that in here. So I think because of some stuff sticking out, I think that this will pop off a little too much when you move it around, unfortunately. So again, I know I did a side-by-side image comparison. I just want to show you what exactly they've accomplished when they did the new torso. I do like that it is molded in that skin tone because it looks fine the way it's molded. You really can't tell that much of a difference, maybe just slightly, between this skin tone on the chest and this. However, of course, we'll get to articulation. The range of motion is going to be much more hindered, at least the forward motion is. With that, though, they have this soft plastic overlay that still is really consistent with this type of harder plastic, and it covers all of the joints going on in here really well. We do have scratching, of course, a little bit of a rip there, a hole going on right there. I'm trying to look. I don't think they scarred up his arms I don't really think they scarred up his arms like I thought they were going to. So that's a little disappointing. So they could have added some scarring there. All of that is pretty much the exact same as that. So we do have these retooled, soft plastic shoulder pieces. Were they soft? Yeah, they were. These are actually a little bit softer, I think, than last time's. And let's see, what am I trying to look at? Oh, actually, this is all, I thought it was a separate piece. So this is a cut here, but this is glued into that. I don't know if I love that. I guess it makes it more seamless, but then you have that's ported in there, and I feel like if you tug too much, that will rip off. So hopefully the range of motion is going to be fine when we take a look at that. I think there's just a little bit of rips going on in here too. I really hate those lights, man. God dang. Anyway, look on the back here. We do have more rips, some creasing going on. The overall creasing was nice before. It's pretty much continued here, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, they pretty much almost did it the exact same. It's a little bit more prominent here with those creases, and then the rips once again. Are there any rips on the I don't think there's any rips on the armbands either. So that's a little disappointing. They should definitely have some detailing going on in these arms. Unless I'm just not looking. I have to look away from the viewfinder. I don't really notice anything that's like battle damage. The red, I believe, are the exact same with that sash piece going on there. And then we look to the hips and the legs. It's slightly darker on the previous one than this one. It's really not that much of a difference. You can see skin tone coming through. That's painted in there on the scratches. Maybe some actual like scratch to detail on the skin tone would have been nice too, because you really don't get that. Just exposed skin. And then more rips and tears around, the shins. Looking around here again, a little bit on the side. A very large rip on the back of the leg there. All of this, the purple is pretty much molded like this. It was the same as the previous one too. They do have some detailing like the previous one on the back of the legs too. Again, more. Whatever that's going on with that black plastic, I don't know. But battle damage, large rip there. Just letting you look really quick for yourself of what battle damage is there. Looking at the boots. These look like the exact same boots with some different colors on the soles there. You see there, it's gray instead of this brown color there. I guess that's more accurate. I thought it was fine before. I don't think there's any battle damage on these boots either. That would not be that big of a complaint for me. If you were wanting way more prominent battle damage here, you kind of get it mostly in the outfit, of course. But you really don't get it where I think it should count in the exposed skin. So that's a little disappointing. I didn't mention that the actual muscles, all of that is really nice. I think there's actually a little bit of a scar right there on the chest, so that's cool. And the way that that's sculpted is pretty consistent, if not a little bit larger in the pecs compared to the previous one. So I did have to bring it out over. After all, I didn't think I would need this, but I definitely needed it. Quickly interjecting, because these lights are the bane of my existence, they were overshadowing some of the scratching on this part of the chest. I've talked about this already. Both on each shoulder blade, and then there's a little bit, just ever so slightly, on the outer thigh piece there. So there's still not that much going on in the arms like I wish there was. I want to show off some comparisons really quick before we focus on Beast Gohan's articulation. The range of motion is going to be a little worse on Beast Gohan compared to the previous Gohan because of the soft plastic overlay. So while I think it's cool, unfortunately it has its downsides. Now, moving the torso back, you're really not going to tell that much. It looks pretty identical to both of these. And I've tried to make the legs and necks and all that as straight as possible with both of them, so you see that they're pretty much doing the exact same thing. Now, moving forward, you could definitely tell more of a difference, but again, I don't think it's that much better on the previous Gohan. It's still pretty good. It is just ever so slightly worse on the new one. Where I think it matters the most is the range of motion in the butterfly joints. I do think the shoulder pieces hinder the butterfly joint a lot more on the Beast Gohan compared to the previous one. In these images, it may not look that prominent, but when you're posing this around, you're definitely gonna tell. It's way better on the previous one when you move it back, and then moving it forward. Yeah, it just was not only, it not only looks better moving forward on the previous one, it's much easier to do. It's a bit of a hassle because of all that soft plastic that might rip on the new one, unfortunately. Okay, sorry about that. Now I do want to talk about the actual articulation of this thing. So this face does want to pop off a bit, but this is on a dumbbell joint just like the previous Gohan. So the heads, of course, like I've shown off earlier, are compatible because of that. That looks all the way down, even without me. Actually, the neck is pretty much moved all the way down. So you just get lots of side to side in the neck and going up into the head because of that. And the swiveling is fine. Just all that range of motion. Again, this does want to pop off, unfortunately. We do, of course, get this, but yeah, the butterfly joint likes to crease up the plastic, unfortunately, and it's just really hard to do. But it's still a decent range of motion going on there. Arms go all the way around. I do think my shoulders are a little bit tight this time around, and this likes to pop off because of the interchangeable arm system. But trying as best as I can, that's about as far out as it wants to go, I think. So that's not too bad, I don't think. Upper arm swivel. We do get the double jointed elbow that bends really well. Standard wrist articulation. It hinges and can swivel at different areas, so you can make it go in and out or up and down. Let's show off the waist twist here. That has no problems. It can do a side-to-side pretty well, and I've already talked about that. This could be better, but it's not much different compared to the previous one. Kicks out all the way there. Doesn't really want to kick out because of the glutes going on there. That's what it looks like when it's at a split. It's almost perfect there. Upper thigh swivel, no problem there. Double jointed knee. I forgot to mention some of these details are continued in the posing there, so that's cool. And then you do have a swivel here at the ankle, and maneuvering it a little bit, it goes down that far. This piece gets in the way. Up that far, ankle rocker, and then you get a toe hinge. Measuring out the figure, because the hair is so tall, the top of that hair is going to make this really close to like 17.5 centimeters, which is going to put this just shy of 7 inches. But really, at the top of the face, it's about 5.5 inches, about the same height as the previous Gohan. Speaking of which, on the left, that is the previous Gohan from Superhero, and on the right, that is Piccolo from Superhero. It's still going to be pretty tall. I cannot wait to see the size difference between this Piccolo and Orange Piccolo. But they all scale together pretty well, I think. And you can see that Marvel Legends and Black Series figure is going to be taller, but they're not all really supposed to scale with each other. Overall, I'm quite satisfied with this figure. I think Tamashii Nations did a pretty great job. They really didn't need to do much besides retooling with some of the parts here with the battle damage. I do think I needed to have some more scratching going on in the arms, but we do have some pretty good scratching going on in the upper torso and a little bit on the left leg. While I do think the soft plastic overlay is cool, it does get in the way of torso and arm articulation, unfortunately. So it's a blessing and a curse at the same time, even though it makes it all look a little bit more seamless. I forgot to mention the hair is not very top heavy at all. It actually has a really good balance to it. If you lean it back a little bit, then sure, it's going to fall over. I think it would have been like that on a normal one too. The range of motion on everything else besides the shoulders and the upper torso is really good, just as good as the previous one. The amount of accessories you have going on here is just a little bit more than the previous one, but the special beam effect, that is really awesome. I do like the arms cross accessories, and everything else we got with the faces, the hands, and the extra face for the normal Gohan. All that is very cool. So I do recommend picking up this figure. Unfortunately, if you didn't already pre-order it on Premium Bandai, it is not going to be easy to find. Maybe you can find it on a place like Nin-Nin-Game or Hobby Genki. I will try to leave links down in the description below to help you guys out. But unfortunately, with Premium Bandai figures, once the pre-order window closes, it's not going to open again. So thanks for watching. Please subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Comment down below what you think about the figure, what you think about the review. Leave a like, share them with your friends. Follow me on Instagram for more content over there, and I'll see you guys later.